Namaste. Welcome to Wisal Career Guide. Today we have Ms. Jayashree with us, and she has been working in the field of training and development. She is a corporate readiness expert. Let's hear from her how she started and how she's reached where she is today. Welcome, Jayashree.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you for having me here. Glad to connect with you.
So, Jayashree, before we get to, what is a corporate readiness expert, could you help us with what has been your educational background?
Okay, sure. So, since we're talking about grooming the students and we're talking about helping them achieve the dream careers, let me speak a little in detail about how my career evolved. Maybe it will help them. So, I'll take it in detail if that's fine with you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm originally from Andhra. I was born in Andhra Pradesh and I was 2.5 years old when we moved out of Andhra. So my dad picked up a job in Bilaspur, which is now in Chhattisgarh. Earlier it was in MP. So I did my initial 2-3 years of schooling there, and from there we moved to Gwalior, which is closer to Delhi. It's in MP. And my entire schooling is from there. So right from my second standard till my first year of college, I studied there. So after my 10th standard, one fine day, my dad brought an application form and he handed over to me and he said, take a look at it. I went through it and I saw that it was for an diploma examination entrance form. I was not interested in diploma. I didn't know what exactly it was with whatever limited knowledge I had at that particular point of time. So I was like, what is it? And I don't want to do this. He was like, no, give it an attempt. And the syllabus is whatever you've studied in 10th standard, you've just done with your 10th standard exam. So I'm sure you don't need to prepare that much. Uh, Half-heartedly, somehow, because I didn't have the courage to say no to my dad, I attempted it. And when the results came out, my dad was super happy. So, out of the 65,000 odd students who had appeared for the exam that year, in the girls' quota, I achieved a rank within the top 100, which
Oh,
meant
wow.
that I could get the best college in MP and I would get the best stream, whichever stream I want to, I can choose. So, my dad
Okay.
was super happy. But I wasn't happy because I was more into friends, and there are some colleges, there are some states where you have junior college in your 11th and 12th, but
Right.
in MP at the school, you continue with the school in 11th and 12th. I was very much into friends, and I want, as you know, people of that age, I wanted to do whatever my friends were doing, and they were continuing 11th and 12th. So I was like, Dad, I don't want to do it. We had heated discussions for a couple of days. And then he thought, okay, let me put a proposal which is a little difficult for me. So maybe I'll agree to whatever he's saying. He suggested that I can do my 11th and 12th, but I'll have to pick up maths and bio both, which means I'll have to take MYPC, maths, bio, physics, and chemistry. To his surprise, I agreed to it. And he gave up. He was like,
Okay.
okay, your choice. All the best to you. So I continued with my friends 11th. I was very happy, but as the academic year progressed, I just couldn't cope up with the pressure of both maths and bio. I
Right.
was an above average student till 10th standard, but 11th was the worst year of my life, and my academic career nosedived. So in 12th, I told that I can't cope up with this pressure and I'll drop biology.
Oh,
So 12th, I did maths, physics, and chemistry. And since the experience of 11th and 12th wasn't that great, I had decided that I will not do engineering. My
okay.
brother was pursuing engineering at that point of time. So I was hoping that, since he talked about diploma, he might also talk about engineering now. So I decided that since my foundation is very bad, I don't want to go ahead with engineering. I started developing interest towards journalism. And
Okay.
at that point of time in Gwalior, we didn't have any institute which was offering a course in journalism, which
Mm,
meant that I'll have to go out of the house, stay in a hostel, and pursue. They disapproved of journalism. I disapproved of engineering. Now, what do we do? So, my brother suggested that computer related courses are picking up. And that is when he introduced me to a course called BCA, which is Bachelor of Computer Applications. And I
right.
started with that. I did 1 year of that, and then my dad got transferred to Mumbai. So moved to Mumbai, continued BCA there, and then I did my MBA in HR. So that's the educational background. Yeah.
Okay. So, from BCA to human resources.
Correct.
Why that switch?
There's a
With
story
a
with that
little
as
bit
well.
of interest going to journalism,
Yeah.
how did HR come into?
There's a story for that as well, if you allow
Okay,
me. So,
absolutely.
Dad used to work for Cadbury's, and as an organization, Cadbury's invests a lot in its people development. So almost
Right.
every 2 3 months, they used to have a training program, and people from the head office, that is Mumbai, would come in, or trainers that they had hired, they would come in and train the people. And I was in fourth, fifth standard. That's when Dad started coming back home and sharing those activities with us. So whatever he would do as part of the training program in the office, he would come back home and do those activities with me and my brother. So if he has attended a goal setting program, he would come back home and make me and my brother do the activity of setting goals as to what is a hobby that we want to pick up, or what kind of percentage do we want in the next academic year. So those kind of things. And I was really impressed as to how does Dad know all these tricks, and these activities are so interesting. As we progress further, during my 8th, 9th standard, uh, I don't know how Dad managed to do it, but he convinced those trainers to come home for a cup of chai or for dinner and interact with both of us. So when those trainers came in home and they shared the stories and the kind of work that they were doing, I was in awe of them, and I wanted to do something like that. So that's
Okay.
when this you could say that it was the beginning of the passion towards learning and development. That's how the seed was sown. So that's when I thought that okay, I'll do MBA in HR, and I'll focus on learning and development. Yeah,
Okay. So after your MBA, your first job,
yeah.
how close was it to, the reality of that job to your expectation?
Um, it was very close to my expectations because it was something that I really wanted to do. I was very clear what is it that I want to do. So
Okay.
after doing my BCA, right from my BCA days itself, I was very sure that I don't want to go for MCA and I want to do MBA only. So even in my class, when teachers used to ask everyone, what do you want to do? I would be the odd one out, raising my hand and saying that I want to shift to management. So in MBA, I was clear of my specialization. It will be HR. And within HR, I wanted to do learning and development. And in the corporate world, you do not get a job related to learning and development as a fresher. You need to have a minimum of 2 to 3 years of experience to get into the L&D department. So I started reading a lot about it. I started subscribing to magazines related to learning and development. And so in my class, everybody knew that if there is anything that you want to know about learning and development, go to Jayashree. That was the
Okay.
craziness that I had about learning and development. So we started having campus placements, and all the companies that were coming in offering the typical, the HR executive role. With all due respect to everybody doing those roles, I'm from an HR fraternity as well, but I didn't have inclination towards that. I
Right.
even got selected in IBM for the VPO division, and I refused even that because I did not resonate with the role and I did not resonate with the culture of the organization. So my friends were taken aback. They were like, "You are refusing, whereas we are struggling to get placements." My dad was worried as to what is it that you will do, because for him it was like I've always been a rebel. uh, College over, I was still jobless because I was hunting for this dream job of mine. So one fine day, my
Hmm.
dad sat me down and he was like, "What is it that you exactly want to do?" And I told him that I'm looking out for only a role in L&D and nothing else. So he knew that if he tries to explain something to me, I may not take it seriously. Ghar ki murgi dal barabar. So he suggested that I speak to an industry expert. So one of Dad's ex-colleague from Cadbury's, he was
Hmm.
at that particular point of time was heading the HR for a multinational FMCG company. And Dad
Okay.
said that, "You remember that uncle?" I said, "Yeah, I do. Okay, he's there as the head of HR for this particular company. Why don't you go and speak to him?" So that sounded interesting. I called him up, took an appointment, went and met him, and explained to him as to what is it that I want to do. So he again told the same thing, that if you're looking at the typical corporate role, you will not get L&D role within the first 2 3 years. So he, opened up this opportunity of working with the consulting firms. He's like, if you want
Okay.
to start your career in L&D directly, you can look at consulting firms that are dedicated to learning and development. And there are a lot of such companies in the market. It's just that people are not aware about it. He also gave me a reference of somebody who was into the consulting field, and I went and met them as well. They were into compensation and benefits, so I didn't join them, but at least I got an idea as to what is consulting and how does it work. So I came
Right.
back home. I told dad, give me 2 months. Let me find out a role related to L&D in a consulting firm. And if I don't get that, I'll pick up whatever comes my way. So day in and day out, I used to spend hours on the internet looking for that role. And luckily, I found one such role. And that's when I joined this company called Empower, based out of
Okay.
Mumbai, who are dedicated to strategic consulting and learning and development. And contrary to what fashion we have these days of switching companies every 2, 3 years, I spent 15 long years with them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was a
That,
fantastic experience. Got to work with around 400 organizations partnering for the learning and development needs. Traveled across 24 states across the across the country,
country.
and it was a wonderful experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to spend those 15 years in an organization and a role like that, I am assuming there was a constant, uh, opportunity to learn and grow as well. So, how was that
Yes.
experience, finally getting that job? And then how did the roles progress?
So when I got the job, I was so happy that out of excitement, I even forgot to discuss the salary package. It was
Okay.
a stress interview. It went on 2, 3 rounds. The CEO was taking the interview. I was so happy that I finally made it. He made it look like as if I'm not going to get selected, but then later he selected me. So I was asking, but why did you make it look like a stress interview? He was like, I was just trying to assess your passion because a lot of people who are joining the organization, they do not understand what this role demands. So
Right.
they take it as a stopgap arrangement. And when they get some experience, they move on to the corporate world. So I really wanted to assess whether you want to move back to corporates or you want to continue with consulting. So I joined the organization at an executive level. And the last position that I held was the director of the organization, where I was heading the business. And it was a techno commercial kind of a role. So imagine had I been with one organization in the 16 years of span, even if I spend on an average 2 to 3 years, the maximum experience that I would have got would be of maximum eight corporates. Whereas
Right.
here I got to work with 200 organizations, different industries, different projects. Somewhere we are doing a communication program, somewhere we are doing a leadership program, somewhere we are doing an organizational development initiative, setting up HR systems. It was a wonderful experience. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
So, Jayashree, how is, learning and development as a consulting role different from the corporate roles that are available?
That's a good question. When you're within the corporate, you are responsible only for your own organization and your team. So you need to assess
Okay.
the needs of your team. You need to go through the performance appraisals, continuously do competency assessments to understand what is the need of your team, where is the organization heading, what are the skills and competencies which are required by the team to and ensure that you achieve those results. Where is the skill gap, and then you arrange for programs accordingly. Whereas when you're in a consulting role, you're not dedicated to one organization. You get to work with different industries. So right from BFSI to pharma to manufacturing to service related organizations, you get to work with a lot of industries. You get to work with a lot of a different set of people. Say it could be a first level training, it could be a mid level training, it could be a senior management training, or it could be an organization wide initiative. So
Right.
that's the difference. Sticking to one organization and looking only after that organization versus doing small projects in various industries.
Various
So there's a
industries.
variety. The variety is the spice in the consulting role. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Jayashree, luckily for you, you were very clear as to what you wanted to specialize in, even in HR. But to the
Correct.
freshers who've gone into, human resources as a management course,
Yeah.
what would you suggest? How do they get on to, deciding what is exactly that they will be good at or be passionate about? Because when you're studying in theory, it's very different from what actually practically happens.
True. When it comes to passion, I think it's very important to keep your eyes and ears open. You cannot get up one fine day and realize, oh, this is my passion. There's no light bulb which is going to, lighten up
Right.
and tell you what it is. You have to work on it. I've seen a lot of students. I'm part of a lot of Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups where I've seen aspiring MBA students putting up a question. Guys, I'm planning to pursue MBA. What do you suggest is the best specialization? And then you have people answering, choose marketing, choose HR. No, 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 go for strategic management. I mean, who are they to decide or suggest you what is best? What is best
Right.
according to me may not be best according for you. So it's a very subjective
Absolutely.
term, and you can. And it happens that people start deciding specialization with respect to the industries that are doing well or the companies that are paying well. So I want to go into this particular stream because it is paid well. If you choose your specialization or your career on the basis of that, I'm sorry, you're making a mistake. So you have to evolve as a person and do a lot of trial and error to understand what is it that you're really passionate about. Say, for example, let's take my story. Let's decode whatever I've explained till now. Where
Right.
did the seed of L&D come in? Because Dad started coming home and explaining those, doing those activities with us.
Correct.
So be in an environment of people who are well aware of what they want to do and people who are achievers who want to do something in their life. So environment matters a lot. It is more powerful than your willpower. So surround yourself with people who are well aware and they know what they want to do, or at least are in the process of exploring what they want to do. When you are in their company, you also start exploring. Then he got those trainers home. So I got to interact with the industry experts. Get in touch. I mean, LinkedIn is an open platform. Go ahead, send it across an invitation. Let them know that, sir, I'm so and so, and I'm in this course, and I want to explore the career opportunities. Can you please guide me because you're an industry expert? I'm sure there wouldn't be a single person who would say that, no, I don't want to guide you. Everybody has gone through
Absolutely.
this stage and everybody wants to go ahead and share their knowledge and help cut short this learning period. So
Right.
reach out to industry experts. And then engineering was ruled out, journalism was ruled out. So I was also clear as to what not to do. Even that gives you a lot of clarity because your then options are shortened. And then have a mentor. Having a mentor is very, very important.
Right.
So if you're in the company of the mentor, I'm sure your learning path will be much faster and you will not waste time doing a lot of things that you'd be doing without a mentor. And still, if you have confusion, go ahead and do trial and error. It's absolutely fine. So go ahead, find out what is it that this particular specialization offers versus or this particular course. Go do that. But when you're doing the trial and error, keep in mind that don't be harsh with yourself.
Right.
Don't bog yourself down that oh, I couldn't do it, I'm a failure. Do trial and error. I did a BCI shifted to MBA, right? There are a
Right.
lot of people you must have seen that they have changed their departments, they've changed their organization, they've changed their specializations. It's absolutely
Absolutely.
fine as long as the learning curve is there.
Right.
And be sure of what you want. Say, for example, there were many times when I would speak to my college friends, and after 2 3 years of experience, they were earning a lot in comparison to me, they were earning a lot. But when we had a conversation, their conversations would be, I don't like the organization politics. I'm sick of the same role. I don't like my boss. I don't like to work here. I'm looking for a change, but I'm not getting a role. Whereas all the stories that I had was, I traveled to this particular city and I did a workshop here. I get to meet a lot of people. So it's all about what is it that you really like. And even if that industry is not doing well, or even if the company doesn't pay you well, will you still like doing that job? Is what is important. So that's how it's a process to evolve. I've also observed that students these days do not want to spend time with themselves. You need to
Right.
think, you need to introspect if you want to really know what your passion is. Spend some time with yourself. Try to identify what is it that you like, what is it that you don't like, what is it that you're finding interesting that somebody else is doing. How did they go about it? Would I also like to do it in the long term? So spending time to introspect is also very important. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so Jeshri, coming back to your current role, which is
Yeah.
industry ready, how does that work?
Okay, so for 15 years, I continued with Empower, and unfortunately, my CEO passed away, and that is when his family decided to shut down the organization. So I started something on my own. I'm now on an entrepreneurial journey, and apart from doing those training programs as part of Empower, I used to go and deliver guest lectures at engineering and management institutions on corporate employability skills, and we
Okay.
used to conduct a nationwide contest to increase awareness about employability for engineering and MBA students via a contest called as Campus to Corporate. So it was a nationwide contest running over a span of 8 to 10 months, where all the institutions, big and small, used to participate. So that background plus the training background. Um, when Empower got shut, that's when COVID hit immediately, and that's when
Right.
training programs weren't weren't happening much. So I thought that MBA students, let me start with them, and then side by side, I also do my corporate training. So the idea behind starting my organization now, which is Corporate Readiness Academy, is to enable students to understand what does the corporate expect out of them, to make them corporate ready, so that when they join the organization, they can perform well and know in what direction they are headed.
That's really great. So, Jeshri, if I were to ask you for one particular tip that you would like to give to the freshers for them to be able to be successful in their career, what
Mm.
would be that one thing that you would suggest them to always, keep in mind?
Uh, there are two, three things that are coming to my mind actually.
Sure.
Yeah, if that is fine
Yeah,
with
yeah,
you.
absolutely.
So the first thing is you have to be a lifelong learner. Just because your course is done or your qualification is done, if you sit back and say that okay, fine, I've reached a particular designation in my life, I've reached a particular package, I'm sorry, it will not take you in the long run. I mean, it won't take you far. So you need to be a lifelong learner and continue to do certain courses, enhance your skills, and you know keep learning, keep yourself in that learning environment. The second
Right.
thing is have a mentor. It is very, very important to have a mentor, because when you have a mentor, you have a sounding board to go and discuss and bounce ideas about what are the career opportunities, how do you reach there, what is it that you are good at, and how can you enhance your potential. So when
Right.
you're on your own, you may not be able to do it, but when you have a mentor who has seen your growth and it can guide you, then it really helps. And third thing I would recommend is that don't just focus only on your career. You need to have a hobby. You need to have a personal life. It is equally important, and there's no point repenting when the time is gone. I've seen that many people who face professional challenges, it's a reflection of a personal challenge. So if you're
Right.
happy and in a good state of mind, obviously you'll perform really, really well in your professional life. Yeah. So these are the three things which I follow, and I think this is what I would recommend.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jayashree, for joining us today and sharing so many insights. And the three suggestions that you've given, I think they are, one of the most valuable ones and would help anybody in their career and in their personal growth as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Nia. Thanks for connecting, and I really love the work that you're doing. I think what you're doing is similar lines to what I'm doing. Our intent is to help students achieve their dreams in the shortest possible time and in the right way. So all the best to
Thank
you
you
too.
so much.
Thank you.
So that was Miss Jayashree sharing with us her experience in the field of learning and development. How she was very sure right from the beginning as to what she wanted, and how she persevered and found the role that she wanted to join. Towards the end, what she said about keeping a balance in your personal life and your professional life, I think that is one of the biggest learning that we should always remember. Your work is important, it is something which is going to give you a lot of fulfillment, but so is your personal life. If you don't manage the two, If you cannot keep a balance between the two, at the end of the day, no matter how much you love your work, you will end up dissatisfied. So take it from somebody who's been in the field of learning and development for the last 16 years that it is important to keep that balance always. I hope you've had a good understanding of the field and you know how to go about finding what is it that will make you happy when it comes to your career. If you have any questions, do write to us below in the comments and we'll answer them. Also, do like, share, and subscribe the channel. Thank you.